How's it going? So, I was just watching some Timcast with Alex Jones. It's no longer on YouTube, and they took it off Spotify as well. If you're interested in seeing it, you can go over to BitChute, where Timcast IRL has they have a platform there, and well, it's the only place you can, as far as I'm aware, and if anybody is aware of anywhere else, feel free to drop a comment. It's the only place that I'm aware that you can find that right now, and I highly recommend checking it out. Anyway, taking a beat from them, they were saying, if anybody wants to get into podcasting, share their views, share their voice, just do it. In Ayn Rand, kind of like it's individuals that move the world, and successful people are the foundation of society, and you can't be successful if you don't do. So here I am doing. Anyway, the reason I'm doing this mainly is because I have a lot of observations and I don't have a whole lot of reach with those. I recently deleted Facebook because I just couldn't reconcile supporting the platform with my opinion of it. Anyway, this would be the, I guess, alternate route. Anyway, what I want to say first is that in regards to lockdowns, I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada. Well, Nova Scotia, Halifax, Nova Scotia is what I'm trying to say, actually. And the lockdown here and the mask order has been just really upsetting in terms of being able to be part of the city, and being able to connect with other people, generally speaking. I have asthma and I don't like to wear a mask. There's lots of other reasons I don't like to wear a mask, but it contributes to the worsening of my condition. And so, as if I don't wear a mask, people tend to make presuppositions about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And even I would assume, and I've had this exemplified to me in certain situations, but I would assume you could extrapolate this outward, that people assume my intentionality in the sense of my character. They might say, "Oh, look at this fucking asshole," or whatever they might want to say, and to themselves, that is typically, as people are, they like to avoid confrontation. Let's put it that way and keep it simple. You could go further than that, but let's not. And So it creates this environment of hostility and division, and it gets people to police each other in an unhelpful way, like a Gestapo, like the send your neighbor to the gulag because they make more money than you kind of thing. Um, it's a step in that direction. I am kind of reaching a little bit there, or maybe overextending the metaphor, perhaps. People might see it that way, others may not. It's a slippery slope, and I can see it both ways. I try not to dismiss any opinion offhand. There's usually a root, a source to that. Yeah, but anyway, that's what I want to say about that. Not well. Actually, let me say one more thing, which is that aside from how the personal experience has been in this province for me, in this city, um, I'm fortunate. I was fortunate enough that when the pandemic hit, I didn't lose my job. I left my job to work somewhere else, and there was a short period of time where I wasn't working, but generally, it wasn't. It didn't hit me that way. But the lockdown in general, in terms of the effects on the domestic economy, is one thing, and there are a lot of people that did lose their jobs, and I'm not unsympathetic to that. But even more concerning, I mean, maybe not in terms of my own personal interest, but in terms of a humanitarian kind of view, is the effect this will have on developing countries around the world. And we can see what it's already done, and there's been those like what time is it here? I'm just gonna turn my lizard's light off. All right, so what was I saying? There's those at the top doctor at the UN or something like that that I can't remember his name, but he keeps being referenced in for his quotation, which is something that lockdown is an ill-advised strategy the first time around, and ill-advised to repeat it because of the effect on the death rate and poverty level within these developing countries and the malnourishment of children. And then there are those who say that there are people in positions of power that want to depopulate the world for pragmatic reasons, for resource, um, supply-based reasons. Among the theory that the Earth is limited in its resources and our population growth is a serious threat to that. Now that is may or may not be true. There are arguments to be made on both sides, and I am not an expert there, but I think it is, based on what I know, it does seem to me that the risk of the extended lockdown, both domestically and abroad, far outweighs the risk of the coronavirus. And that seems like a fact. If anybody has any good reasons that isn't the case, leave it below. Okay, so that's the lockdown coronavirus 2 cents, let's say. Now I want to weigh in on the U.S. election, and what do I know? I'm a stinky Canadian, but I say stinky. I didn't shower today yet, so this is a video, and luckily it's not 5D yet, so you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, Trump in the election and Joe Biden and the Stop the Steal and the coup d'état that Trump's supposedly planning. So, first of all, do I or do I not think that there was systemic fraud in the election? It is my personal opinion that there was a widespread fraud occurring in the election, and that I think, I won't go as far as to say I believe, but I think that is the reason why Joe Biden won. Now, can it be determined in a non-arguable way, a totally 100% factual way, that it was widespread enough and intentional, and can that be proven that it was the reason that the election swung the way it did? Now, the courts are one thing, and luckily, it's supposed to be impartial for the most part from the other departments of the government down there. And there is a chance, although some people say it's not a great one. Okay, I thought I lost myself there for a second. So far so good, I would say, in terms of looking at the outcomes of the lawsuits that have been completed so far in Trump's domain. And, it sets a precedent if he's won some of these lawsuits already, suggesting that these changes to the election that were made and the mail-in ballots coming back in his favor seems to indicate that there may be a domino effect in that regard for Trump. And if that happens, well, he just may, by legality, retain the presidency due to votes being discounted or recounted without certain votes allowed, and other ones being disqualified, perhaps because the voter was dead, or so maybe somebody voted twice, or somebody voted for somebody else, so things like this. And I agree with the typical analysis that you'll see online if you're not watching the mainstream media, which is that no matter who wins in the end, you're going to have half the country that doesn't accept the result. Now, what I would say is if Trump wins, it's going to be because of technical reasons and legal reasons, and it will be legitimate. But if Biden wins, I believe that is not the case because, like I said before, I am biased, I do admit that. But I do believe that the fraudulent activity is the reason why the presidential election went to the Democrats. Now, in regards to the coup, if there was fraud, right, and the election was stolen from Trump, then I support a coup. It would be Trump's duty as a human being in this so-called free world to make sure that criminals are not in power. He's the commander in chief, and if he knows about criminal activity in the deep state, let's not beat around the bush, he has a responsibility as a warrior of God, as a human soul. I mean, if he is the good man, which I believe he is, then this is his duty. And if he refuses to do his duty, maybe I have to reevaluate my opinion of the man. And we went over coronavirus. We went over the U.S. election. I think that's all I really have in my mind right now. I haven't finished that Timcast episode yet. I'm gonna head back to that now. Anyway, if you did listen to this, it's my first video. I appreciate your time, and God bless.